Hello and welcome to Dash 28 Live. I'm your host, Mike Atkins, and today we are bringing you the first round matchups from this weekend's Kings of War GT at the Atlantic City Open. This is a tournament this is the first time they're having a Kings of War tournament at this event, but I think they've had this event before. It's put on by Frontline Gaming, and they do other large open events around the country. So we're really excited to see another Mid-Atlantic GT popping up here in the spring or / early summer. Just before Masters, to give folks some more chance to practice and try out their lists, and to just bring a lot of new folks into the community and give them a chance to try out the game and the tournament scene for the first time. So here, joining me, I've got Steve Forster. Hey, Steve. Mike Ireland. And Kat Royer, welcome.
Hey.
Great to see you folks. We have a few people watching. Hello to everyone at home. I believe Mike, the TO for the event, told me that his club was having their normal club night tonight, and they were going to put this on so they could listen to us roast their lists thoroughly, and we are here to oblige you. So welcome to all of our viewers. And without further ado, let's start getting into checking out what's going to happen this weekend in Atlantic City. So talking about the list that everybody's brought, we've got, I think it's 22 players. We've got 16 different armies represented. The most prominent army is going to be Empire of Dust, actually. There's 3 Empire of Dust lists, which is interesting, right? Couple of Night Stalkers, a couple of Forces of Nature, a couple of Dwarves, and a couple of Ogres. And then just one each of Forces of the Abyss, Brother Marc, Halflings Herd, Northern Alliance, Orcs, Ratkin Slaves, League of Rordia, Sylvankin, Trident Realm, and Undead. What even is this meta? I do not recognize this as being Mid-Atlantic.
No. 3 Empire Dust, yeah, and no, 1 Elf.
One Sylvankin. No,
yeah.
like two Ogres. So weren't there were 6 Ogre players at Pyramid, I think.
Yeah.
And now they're down to 2. There's only 1 Undead.
Yeah, this is bizarro Mid-Atlantic.
It's exciting. In terms of number of drops and number of unit strength, average drops are coming in at 14, and average unit strength is coming in at 24, with a low point on drops of 11, which is nice and elite, and a max of 17, which is kind of a lot, but not so much that I would call it like a trash build.
Right.
And unit strength coming in minimum of 20 and max of 31, which is a pretty good spread. These are slightly higher numbers than we saw at Vanguard GT, by 1 or 2 in each in terms of both drops and unit strength. So the folks for this tournament are opting for slightly less elite armies than we've previously seen at recent Mid-Atlantic events, which I think is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody got anything on this, or shall I move on?
It's about, like Mike said, it's about average for, across, even not out of other events across the country, about average drops, average unit strength. So you're seeing around 13 to 14 drops, about 22, 24 unit strength. So it's pretty on par.
It's pretty on par. Yep.
I think the other thing to note here, is that this event in particular, the meta in South Jersey is extremely new. So anybody that's tuning in from outside, it's these are people that are bringing, choosing their factions based on the models that they want to play, So these lists, it's a competitive meta and they're competitive players, but they're playing the armies that they want to. So that's partly probably why you're the faction breakdown is a bit far off, from what you're typically used to.
I want to say something like a third of these players may have started within the last 4 months or so. They're very new. So
awesome.
That's awesome.
Love it. A young and developing meta. Here's what it looks like. Next year, these are all going to be cutthroat super tournament tunes. Yeah. It's going to be all Twilight Kin and Ogres and Undead. All right. So round 1 for the tournament is going to be Invade, a nice easy scenario to start out the morning while everybody's getting over their Friday night hangover. Always a good call there. And this is the map that Mike has selected to use there. So the first thing to note when looking at this map is that the green ovals are the forests and not the hills, which is what I thought when I first looked at the map. I was like, why are the hills at the deployment sets? They're not the hills. Those are the forests. Interesting thing to see here, I guess, is that the difficult is all flat. It's all height 0, and it's all over on one side of the table. So one side of the table is very, very tall. Like the left side of the table is very, very tall, and the right side of the table is very, very flat.
It's very open.
So for anybody, depending on the kind of army you have, and the fact that you're trying to get across the table, you might lean towards. I suspect that you'll be able to read the list and look at them and be like, this is someone that wants to play on the open side of the table versus this is someone that's going to want to hide behind the hills and try to sneak their stuff across. So we'll try to keep that in mind as we're checking out the matchups here. Anybody got any thoughts on the terrain map?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting with the scenario too. Like with Invade, it's a scenario where you are like, running across the table. So I think that the terrain is going to, matter tremendously as far as like which side, you want to deploy heavily on.
The 2 forests are going to be huge conflict points just for both sides trying to get across to the other side. Like you're probably going to end up camping your anvil if they have Pathfinder or adjacent to it. And whoever can kind of snap through the anvil first is going to really dictate a lot in this one.
I do like that there's no clear like vertical lanes anywhere on this table. Like every 12-foot section has at least one piece of terrain blocking it.
Yeah, that was my thought too. I mean, the far right, there's current. I don't know. Given the army breakdown, I'm not going to see that typical, East Coast shooting, probably. So I don't. The amount of cover that you're going to get, I don't know if it's going to matter that much, but yeah, there's cover to be had.
All right, so let's get into the matchups now. So let's talk about table 1. Table 1, we have Pete DeChalk versus Elliot Harris. I believe these are both pretty new players. So this is going to be a halfling versus ogre matchup. And I think we were talking earlier. Pete is basically just working with whatever models he can get his hands on. Is that right?
So Pete is. This is going to be an amazing matchup, actually. So Pete is a brand new player. This table 1 is going to be Pete's first game of Kings of War. So, now listen, Pete is a good friend of mine, and he is not like a new gamer. Like he is a competitive player and he plays in other games. And he's well read in the rules, but this will be his first game of Kings of War. That said, Elliot isn't too far off. Elliot probably has, like something like sub 10 games in under his belt. So this is, in going through the list, I think this is the matchup I'm most excited to see because I think it could go either way.
I feel like this is the table that like the TO is just going to have to keep coming back to be like, do you have any rule questions this round? Do you have any rule questions this round?
Yeah, right.
Yep. Thankfully, we're starting off with a nice, straightforward scenario to kind of get things rolling for them.
Yeah.
Right. So over on the halfling side, it is a little bit. It's a little bit of everything. There's some juggers. There's some stalwarts. He's got the Iron Beast with the Pride of Shires upgrade. He's got a couple of sorcerers, an engineer, a feast master, a muster captain on wing Aralez, greedy guts, which I think is pretty cool. And then over on the other side, you have some big anvils over there. You got a warrior legion with Pathfinder, which can really hurt things when it hits them, and a red goblin rabble legion, which with the brew of sharpness, which is a very interesting choice for them. It'll take a while to chew through them. Some hunter regiments, berserker braves horde, meat of madness, a nice long charge there, and once again similar to the halfling list, just sort of a kind of one or two of everything kind of list. Of course, with Grakagamok and Nom Nom there at the bottom because the ogre characters are just so good. I don't know, Steve. What do you think?
I love seeing it's great that these are new guys and we're just kind of throwing them together. Round 1, table 1, just like, hey, you how many games you got? 0. How many games you got? 4. Let's go. That being said, I do. I love the. I think I'm gonna go with the halfling list. I'm gonna give it to the rookie coming out. I like the Jugger Horde. I like we got the speed. He got the stalwarts being Crush 1. Yeah, I'm gonna give it to the halflings.
All right, Kat, what do you think?
Well, I think looking at halflings, because I actually haven't fought them yet somehow, the list seems super solid. And I think that besides Elliot's shooters, it's going to be pretty favored in dictating those engagements and probably going to be able to out-chew a lot of the ogre's attacks. And then Nom Nom's going to be real sad about the spell ward everywhere for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I got to give it to the halflings.
All right. That is 2 for the halflings. What do you think, Mike?
So, I think with this one, if the halfling player, if Pete can really get in there and play for the scenario, which he may be able to, like if he can recognize the fact that if he stops, the ogres from crossing, he outdrops them by a lot, so I think that is going to come into, a big factor in this one. And see, I think time might be a factor, like that's the other thing, because they are playing on clocks. So it really is a toss up for anybody's game. But, I think, we can go with the beginner's luck on this one. I'm going to go with halflings, and just kind of support the new guy.
All right. That is fair. So that's 3 votes for the halflings. And so just so it's not a clean sweep, I'm actually going to vote for the ogres, and my reasons for voting the ogres are because warrior legions are a unit that you have to have a plan for getting rid of, and I know that halflings are kind of like a synergistic combined force list. They're not very beginner friendly to play, so I suspect Pete is going to have trouble dealing with that legion, and it's going to chew through a few units and still not be dead. And I think that's a lot of unit strength that Elliot will be able to push straight across the table, and Pete will struggle to stop. So I'm going to give it to the ogres, and I'm going to vote Elliot just because I don't like clean sweeps. So there we go. So that is 3 votes to 1 for the halflings, and let's check out table 2. So on table 2 we have Max Kinney versus Alex Chavez. Max is the other ogre player. And Alex is playing his Night Stalkers again, as he's been playing recently. I think this is the same list he's taken to the last couple of events. Mm-hmm. The kind of double Shadow Hulk, double Soul Flare, Fiend Horde with a couple of Butcher Hordes and some Horror Rift Weavers and Shakira. They're both 14 drops. The Ogre list has 1 more unit strength on the Night Stalkers. And the Ogre list is a lot of Warrior Regiments, so kind of a lot of thick chaff there. A couple of Siegebreaker Hordes for some nice anvils. It's a pretty solid Ogre list, actually. Double Warlocks with Drain Life, double Berserker Bullies, Nom Nom, and then the Chariots. What do you guys think?
That chariot formation is so cool. Trying to go find it.
I remember harkens back to the days when I think it was Clash 18 with the Hell on Wheels, the original, the OG Hell on Wheels in it. Mm-hmm. That kind of makes me nostalgic. But yeah, am I going first?
We're at the tippy top. You're above me.
You can if you want to. I mean, I do try to rotate through these, so you don't have to go first time you want. We can slide down and ask Kat what she thinks first.
All right.
What I think is it's going to be Max's list to beat, unfortunately. He does have those chariots for out-threatening a lot of these hitty units in Alex's list, but those soul flares and the double Shadow Hulk, they're so nasty, and it's hard to do quite enough wounds to get them, even with the ogre's better accuracy. So I think Alex might take this one.
The other thing is like experience. Alex is going to be, he's on the bunny slopes in this event in a lot of cases. Max is a great player and a great guy, but he doesn't have the experience on Alex. And even though, I think the list is actually really tight. I like Max's list a lot. but Alex isn't going to have hard time unpacking it. He's not going to catch him by surprise. So unfortunately, Max, my heart goes out to you, but I think Alex is going to take this one just on experience alone,
Yeah, it is tough to vote against Alex Chavez at any Mid-Atlantic event in the first round. I was up at Mike Austin's house after Pilgrimage, a couple weeks after Pilgrimage, and we were just playing around, getting some practice games in. And Mike Zettelmeyer brought his 9x9 ogre list, and Alex brought this Night Stalker list. And I sat there and watched like an absolutely phenomenal game of Kings of War, as you can imagine, those two guys playing, and watched Alex manage to pick that thing apart and beat it actually. So I think the sort of like meta standard ogre list like Max has got here that is super solid. I think Alex is going to look at it and be like, okay, I know exactly what to do. I've played this on like God mode. This is just on like normal to hard mode. So yeah, I mean, I can't vote against the clubmate, so I got to go with Alex.
Okay, all of you have valid points, but I'm also going to go with Alex. Just I know Mike hates clean sweeps, but Alex is.
I'm sorry, Max. I love you.
Alex is.
You'll be missed.
Super.
Godspeed.
You will do great. In the second round.
Yeah.
Whoever you play.
There's no shame. I mean, I found this list at Pilgrimage round 2 in the losers bracket for some fucking reason, and it's a very, very good list. So, good luck, Max. Hopefully, you can't. I mean, yeah, good luck.
Good luck.
Yeah.
No one's going to ask you what happened, right?
Nope.
Yeah, it's gonna be like, how you played Alex.
Okay.
Yeah, sure. No problem.
Right.
These things happen. All right, table 3. We have Derek Sandstrom versus Matt Griffin. Derek is playing Herd, although I don't see a whole lot of Herd in that Herd list. I see a whole lot of Forces of Nature in that Herd list.
It's a force.
I guess he just really wanted Harpies, I guess. Yeah. And then, of course, we're on the Sylvankin side. It's what you would expect Matt to bring now with a greater air elemental, basically. Yeah, so five Gladestalker regiments. He had been playing like 3 regiments and a couple of troops, and he's gone up to a full five regiments there. A couple of regiments of Stormmoon Cav, the Wildfather and Tree Herder, that Elven King that hits on 2s, and a greater air elemental, which is just nasty. And then over on the Herd side, it's the forest that moves. So this is going to be a Tree Herder fight. He's got four hordes of Forest Shamblers, and a Wildfather and 2 Tree Herders. So that is a lot of defense 6 stuff for Matt to fight.
A lot of defense 5, 6.
Yeah, they're both coming in at 12 drops, so they're on the elite side. The Herd is coming in at 21 unit strength, and the Sylvankin coming in at 24. So Matt does have a slight unit strength advantage on him. I don't know. What do you guys think?
So for this one, Derek's list with the Herd is affectionately known locally as the Sticks and Stone list. For those that haven't seen it, because that's what it's made out of. The primary composition of his army is sticks and rocks with googly eyes on them.
Okay. Yeah, I've never seen that.
And it's actually a really nasty list. I know both of these guys; they're both great guys. And I think both of them piloting these lists could stand to go down a peg. You know what I mean? Like, this is another matchup that I'm really excited about. And somebody's feelings are going to get hurt at the end of this, because I know both of them are coming in like expecting a win. For this one, as far as my pick, I think I'm going to go with Derek. Like, Matt needs to be careful with this list, for the reason that you're saying. It's a lot of really high defense, and it's a list that can charge you on bottom of 1, like on top of 1. It's like, this is a list that's going to get in there, and, it's not waiting for you to do anything, like, it's not waiting around for you. So I think the speed of the herd list with the the 4 Forest Shambler hordes, they're going to be charging stuff like as soon as he can. So I'm going to go with Derek on this one, and see if he can, because I know Matt has a lot of experience with this list, and it's really, really scary, but this is a tough matchup for him.
It is, yeah. Having all that stuff scouting, like in Invade, to have most of your army start in the middle of the table is tough to deal with.
Yeah. By the time the dust settles, I don't know if Matt does end up winning the conflict, if he'll be able to get to the other side in time. Whatever remains will be worth the double the points.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be so strong. I think for those reasons, I have to go with Derek.
Okay.
I think this is a list that Matt does not want to see, because not only does everything, and it's all defense 5 except for the Harpies, it's defense 5 and 6. That is, what's 6? I'm trying to do. That's a lot of shots. But I mean, you're gonna do 7 or 8, 9 damage to one Forest Shambler horde. You gotta hope to spike the nerve and take it off, because was that heal 7 backing it up. And then you could, the Ring of Harmony, you can there. It's elite from the Gladewalker Druid. So, all that being said, the one thing I just now seeing is that one of the tree herders has the Banner of Avature, which doesn't matter in this list. It's curious because the tree herder kind of needs to be off doing its own thing, because having your guys be spell ward kind of is counterintuitive to the druid doing all that. So, all that being said, I'm gonna go with Matt. I don't know. I think Matt's been playing this list since before playing Gladestalkers were cool. So I'm gonna go with it, just his experience with it.
Yeah, that is a tough call. I've played Matt a couple of times. Playing this list, I beat him once. He beat me once. So he knows exactly what he's doing with it. This is a probably slightly better version of it than the one he'd been playing with. The Greater Air Elemental adds a little something there. Adds a little bit of the speed hammer that he didn't really have before. But going into a whole bunch of Forest Shamblers and an Earth Elemental Horde and an additional tree herder, I feel like this is one of those where, like, there's a side of the table that Matt definitely wants to set up on, and the side of the table that Derek definitely wants to set up on. And if they just yin yang around each other, Matt's got 3 more unit strength.
That's what I was thinking. Like, this is gonna be. I think it was Dan Miner who coined the term the toilet bowl. Basically, everyone's gonna everyone's gonna do a heavy flank on either side, and then we're just gonna circle the drain.
Everything's gonna circle the drain. I think I'm gonna go with Matt. I think Derek's got a really good chance, but I think Matt knows how to use his list really well, and is used to surging, is used to scouting up and taking advantage of scouts. So I don't think Derek is going to catch him by surprise with any of it. So I don't know. I'm not sure about that one, but I'm going to go with Matt anyway. I would not be surprised if Derek won this one, though. So let's move on. Let's check out table 4. We have Lachlan Jessen versus Kevin Strong. This is an orc, or really orcs and goblins matchup versus Night Stalkers. And I think the story here is Lachlan is, again, like a newer player or a returning player who's probably using like their old Warhammer Fantasy Orc and Goblin army or something like that. And the Orc army's coming in at 17 drops with 23 unit strength, and over on the Night Stalker side, it's got 15 drops, also with 23 unit strength. The Orc list is a little bit of one of everything. He's got several Gore Rider regiments, and some Skulks troops that actually have the Raider upgrade. And then over on the Night Stalker side, you've got Shakira, you've got a couple of horrors, a Terror, a Planar, a couple of Mind Screeches, some Needle Fangs that fly, I believe, a Bloodworm Legion with Hammer Measured Force, which is always fun. and a bunch of scarecrows. So it's not a super hammery Night Stalker list. The Reaper Regiment, of course, like with the Brew of Sharpness, that'll kill a whole bunch of stuff if it gets into them. But it's got kind of a lot of anvils. I don't know. I feel like Night Stalkers probably have the edge in this fight. What do you think, Steve?
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I mean, I very much appreciate the Oregon Goblin list. It's the it is. Yeah, Kevin just put in the chat that it's 2-planar apparitions.
It's actually 2 planers. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, the Bloodworm. I mean, the Bloodworm Legion is really cool because the Bloodworm Legion with the Hammer Measured Force backed up with the Vicious R is like 12 to 13 wounds to everything. But there's enough just trash on the orc side that I don't think it's gonna matter. But yeah, I like the Night Stalker list just a little bit better. So I'm gonna go with Kevin.
Mm-hmm. And double planers means Lachlan's gonna is gonna have trouble chewing through either of the hordes or the Bloodworm Legion with that much heal behind him.
Yeah, that's gonna be a nightmare.
What do you think, Kat?
Yeah, Kevin's list is very fierce. I fought it before, and it's just an awful lot of meat in the form of the scarecrows. And if you don't quite break the things that you're hitting, it all just comes right back. And so I think I have to give the edge to Kevin here, if only because I feel like the orc player is going to have a little bit of trouble finishing off whatever he tags.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree with that one. You know, the orc player, the list is good. It's a very fast orc list, which you don't see. You know, like 3 regiments of that cavalry, you know, can be really good. But I think he's going to have an issue of volume of attacks. You know, and I think Kevin is going to be able to outmaneuver him just a little bit, because if those Gore Riders, you know, if they're not breaking on the, you know, on the turns that they hit, you know, Kevin's list is designed, you know, so that it can really kind of mousetrap in, you know, like, and take advantage of those stuck units in the flanks. Yeah, the orc player, they out-drop them a little bit. He's got the skulks to soften things up on the way in.
They're going to be hitting on 6s.
Yeah, they're hitting it.
They're going to be hitting on
7s.
A lot of the time 7s.
7.
That's not gonna matter.
Yeah.
Right.
With heal 14, it's not.
Yeah, that's tough. And the unit strength is equal. I might have to go with Kevin on this one. I'm looking for a reason to avoid the sweep, but you know, I think the list in the scenario is stronger. You know, like the things that this is a list that Lachlan doesn't want to see with his orcs.
No. I agree. However, I'm going to vote for Lachlan just to keep it from being a sweep. Why not? You know, orcs are swinging. He's got a lot of speed. He might figure out a way to do it. He might catch some things in some flanks. He might pull it off. We will find out. So there you go. It's 3 votes for Kevin and 1 vote for Lachlan. I'm pulling for you. You can do it. Bring the old school. Wah, and do your thing. All right, table 5. Yeah, so this could be like the last round, like top. Was this a grudge, or did these just get randomly paired against each other? Because this could be like the.
I don't think there were any grudges. I think this is just a feature match.
This is just this could be the top table last round matchup at a tournament, except they happen to be playing in the first round. So we've got Marcelo playing Boehner, and of course it's brother Marc. Boehner has apparently dropped Twilightkin for Forces of Nature. They are both at 14. What's that?
That's that Boehner grew a conscience.
Coming in at both 14 drops, 23 unit strength over the brother Marc side, and 20 unit strength on Forces of Nature. And looking over the Forces of Nature list here, like I feel like air elementals is just sort of a general theme for the meta at this tournament. Like there's a ton of air elementals.
They are good.
Now, which is funny because like last year you never saw them, and now like they've gotten a bit of a glow up, and here they are. They've come out swinging.
Air elementals I think they've always been good, but now For whatever reason that they've kind of the formation, the Nature's Wrath formation is just fantastic.
The
It
formation
really
is hot, and I think
Yeah.
also that like
Rare
the threat
elementals
of
getting
the threat of shooting, right, the threat of elf shooting coming back. I feel like the air elementals are a pretty good counter to that because they can get across and punch elf units.
and greater air elementals are so good.
They're so
Yeah.
good. They're such
Yeah.
a nightmare.
Yeah.
And I feel like, in the previous meta where things were a bit tankier and grindier, like a sort of medium-ish hammer unit like air elementals would struggle to pop things a bit. But when what you're worried about are like slightly lighter, more nimble, maybe slightly lower nerve or defense units like Glade Stalkers and other things like that, like air elementals kind of can do the job. So I think that might be why we're seeing so many of them.
And also that I think they've crushed one Thunder one now. At least
Yeah.
the Graders have crushed one Thunder one. So getting those in a flank, I mean, you're going to 20 attacks hitting in 3s and with -2. I mean, that's going to hurt. And it's so easy to do. And the formation one gives them brutal. So it gives brutal to all the air elementals, the Grader and the 2 hordes, and then it also gives it to the water elementals. So the waters also have brutal.
Oh, is it a brutal aura for the formation?
Yeah. Well, no, it's a brutal aura for waterbound. So I think the air elementals in the Nature's Wrath get the waterbound keyword, and then so it's greater, and then the aura goes for waterbound. So, 4 out of the 6 hordes of elementals can get brutal. I mean,
right. And the other 2 are earth elementals, and they're just there to not die.
Yep.
Yeah,
they're very good at that.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, super duper solid Force of the Nature list, facing down Marcelo's brother, Marc, where he's got like an entire horde of Paladin Monster Slayers with Brew Strength. He's got 3 units of Order of the Abyssal Hunts. He has the High Chaplain. He's got a couple of War Wizards. He's got some Penitents and some Spearmen. I don't know if a Spearman regiment is going to stand up to a charge from elementals in the front, sure, because they got phalanx. But if it catches them in the side, which they're likely to get surged into the side, it won't really matter. I don't know. I feel like this isn't really a list that Marcelo wants to see. Like, I feel like when you're playing Cav, you want to strike first, and when you come up against a list that's a little bit faster than you struggle. So like an all flying circus kind of list is difficult for you to deal with.
Yeah, so this is Marcelo's like comfort list with a couple of minor changes, and I just think that it's a little, but I don't know, the air elementals being able to kind of just spread out on a big U and just threaten every single flank. It's really challenging to put the Villain skirmishers where they'll be able to cover enough that the Order of the Abyssal Hunt or his Hammer of Monster Slayers aren't going to get hit first. And I don't think the lightning bolts are quite enough to like out damage the regen to get something down before the lines meet. So I have to, if I could go first, I guess I think that Alan might take this one. It'll be a good game though.
Yeah.
I also know that this is a similar list. Marcelo ran into this. I don't believe it was Alan. I forget who exactly it was that he played against, but I remember he ran into a similar list at Vanguard. So Marcelo is absolutely going to look at this as a grudge match. He's seen what the list can do, and I think that he's going to be able to adapt to that one. Like Kat said, this is a list, that he's kind of well practiced in. This is probably very similar to the list that he's going to bring to Masters. And he's played this matchup at least, once before very recently. And I would imagine that he's going to adapt to that. So I got to go with the club, because the Battle Pilgrim, I think Marcelo's going to win this one out.
Okay. You might be thinking of Jason Britt, maybe?
Yes, thank you. Yep, I knew it was a J, but I didn't want to waste the stream's time guessing incorrectly. Sorry, okay. Jason.
All right, Steve, what do you think?
I'm going to go with Boehner. I think his list is very, very Solid. It's I don't know. It's compact. Boehner's a really good player. He's not going to be able to. I don't think Marcelo needs like double and triple charges to take out any one of the hordes. At least the water and the greater and the earth elemental hordes. He's not going to be able to get the charges he wants on the air elementals. It's going to be a really uphill battle. So I'm going with Boehner.
All right. I think I'm also going to vote. Boehner. I think this is not a good matchup for Marcelo, and I think he's going to struggle against it. And also, the last time I played Marcelo, that stupid host Shadow Beast gave me a fit. So I just have a grudge now because I'm petty. So there you go. I'm going Boehner, thanks to pettiness.
That exemplar hunter is going to run around, chase that gray air elemental.
Oh, it's going to be a nightmare. Yeah.
All game. Never catches it.
Come back. Oh.
All right. So let's pop over and check out table number 6. We have Josh Austin versus Jordan Fox. This is the Dwarf versus Empire of Dust matchup. Over on the Dwarf side, he's got 14 drops coming at 26 unit strength. And Empire of Dust, 13 drops for 22. Over on the Dwarf side, he's got triple Flame Belchers, which is interesting. You don't see a lot of Flame Belchers. He's got Galax Fury. He's got a horde of Iron Watch rifles, which you don't see a lot of. He's got a whole lot of infantry regiments with dogs to throw and a couple of Brock Rider regiments. And then over on the Empire Dust side, he's got 2 Skeleton Spearmen Horde, only 1 regiment of mummies, 2 Skeleton Deadeye Crossbow troops, which you don't see very often. The Sandborn Worm Riders Horde, which I'm not sure I've ever seen anybody take, but I think a couple of the Empire Dust players took. A Reanimated Behemoth, the Soul Snare, the Idol of Shobek, Sepic Ray, kind of a lot of the standard stuff that you see. I don't know. This is a slightly different kind of Empire Dust list than I'm used to seeing, so I'm not quite sure how this is going to go. What do you guys think?
So I fought a triple Flame Belcher list the other day last weekend, and they're remarkably good in a ways that you wouldn't really think if you screen them well enough. But I don't think they're very good into Empire of Dust. But there's a lot of excellent shooting and a really nice front line, and he's going to get a lot of wounds in on the way in.
So who are you voting to win?
I think I'm just looking at the list. But then again, I've never seen Jordan Fox play Empire of Dust. I also didn't even know he had that army.
He just won it.
I think he might have maybe just got it. I think I just saw how good the dwarves can do at Orktown, so I'm going to go with the dwarves this time. But I'm very curious to see how Jordan does with this list.
All right.
So Josh is running a list. The thing about this style of dwarfs, the saturation of throwing mastiffs is a huge problem. The amount of, you look at a list like this, it's very slow. It just kind of wants to sit there. But it can put a tremendous amount of wounds out on the way in, between that Galax Fury, the very, very strong and deceptive shooting. The Mastiffs are a nightmare. As a Ratkin player, like my Plague Pots are useless. So every time I see Mastiffs, I'm worried. What Josh doesn't know is the power of Jordan Fox's dice. Again, this is where the hometown, understanding. If he's not ready for an avalanche of 5s and 6s and is expecting average dice, Josh is going to lose. So I'm going to go with Jordan Fox's dice alone on this one.
Okay.
It doesn't matter which pile he's pulling from, you know what I mean? Like we break his balls and check his dice all the time. The man is blessed and nobody knows why. So I think Josh is in for a rude awakening.
All right. Steve, what do you think?
If it wasn't Invade, I'd give it to the Dwarfs hands down. But it's Invade, and there are the Iron Watch rifle horde is going to be. It's unit strength 4. It's their Iron Watch rifles. I think, especially at a regiment level, I think are really good. However, this just isn't the match, the scenario that I think is going to really shine in. So yeah, I'm actually still going to give it to the dwarves. I really like the dwarf list. So yeah, I'm gonna and Empire Dust. I mean, it's a little bit of everything. I don't rate the Sandborn Riders very highly. This crossbows aren't going to do anything. Yeah, so I'm going to go with the dwarves. Despite a challenging matchup for the scenario.
Yeah, these aren't. I don't really. Neither of these are my favorite type of list for either of these armies. But I think I'm also going to go with the dwarfs. Just because I'm not sure that the Empire of Dust list is playing to their strengths enough. I'm not seeing a whole lot of opportunities for the kind of surge shenanigans that I want to see, and I don't know that there's enough heal. And only one regiment of mummies. Yeah, that's the big thing. Only one regiment of mummies. Like if it was fewer skeletons and more mummies, I would feel better about the Empire of Dust list. So I think I'm going to go with the dwarves. I'm going to go with Josh here. All right, moving on to table 7. This is gonna be fun. This is gonna be hilarious. So Mark Howard versus Alex Forsyth. Undead versus Ratkin Slaves. This is one of our high unit strength watermark lists on the undead side, 14 drops, and over on the Ratkin Slave side, 16 drops, 24 unit strength. So the undead list is a grand total of 6 zombie legions, 2 in the shambling blight formation, and 4 just free range zombie legions. A couple of gore blights, a couple of burrowing worms, a couple of standard bearers, a zombie troll horde with brewer sharpness, which is fun. It's nice. And then over on the Ratkin Slave side, it is 8 slave warrior regiments with the last breath, all of them with the last breath. A couple of Death Engine Impalers, a couple of chariots, some of the Living Legend characters, Golek Skinflare and Kryza's Gore Impaler, which is the one that actually gets to like keep overrunning like way back in the day in Warhammer, and an Overmaster on Ancient Winged Half-Breed. So this is just exploding rats running into zombies. Like, how can you not love that matchup? Like, that's just awesome. I have no idea what's going to happen other than rats are going to blow up and kill some zombies. I got to give it to. I'm going to go first. I'm going to give it to Undead because Undead. There you go.
Undead. Yeah, I don't. I know that. I think Al's going to have a trouble getting through zombie legions. I like the rat. I think Ratkin slaves aren't nearly as bad as they're kind of portrayed to be. But yeah, I don't know if Al has the tools to really deal with 1 zombie legion, let alone 6. But it's all. I mean, it is also Invade. So I mean, if Al gets the first turn, we kind of we're a fight on your side of the table, maybe. Yeah. So I'm gonna go Mark.
Yeah, if there's one thing I don't like about Mark's list is I would like it to have a little more surge.
We've got the Necro. I don't the Burning Worms have surge?
No, I think one of the standard bearers with the Tome of Darkness. The Tome of Darkness gets a little, so he's got 2 surge sources. But for scenarios like this, where it would be great to just like yeet as many legions forward with surge in the first turn as you can, like that's when it comes in handy. And he doesn't have it. So anyway,
Mark has a point in chat. Jeez.
All right, what do you think, Kat?
It's Invade, and Mark Howard's bringing 6 legions of zombies. I don't think that the slaves, like some amount of design space for Last Breath is dedicated to the Pierce 2, which doesn't help against zombies. And I just don't think it just has enough attacks to chew through it all. Even if one legion breaks through and gets to the other side, you just have too much, and the list lacks the flexibility to spin around and go deal with it. I think it's just not enough attacks. I would give it to Marc.
All right. Mike, what do you think?
Well, as the Ratkin player, I know it's not exactly the same, but we got some slaves here. So the thing about this list, and Alex, I do apologize. Marc and I played like just a week or two ago some very similar matchups. I was kind of toying around with some Ratkin Wretches lists. So he has a little bit of practice into it, but the Death Engine Impalers got updated in Clash 2022, so those things are swinging in with 7 plus 2d6 attacks on all of these zombie hordes, and that's kind of, and they go so fast. Alex this is gonna be his game to lose because he will dictate every engagement on this tabletop. So I do know Marc, he's a strong player. I've never met Alex, unfortunately. But between that and the Overmaster on the Winged Half-Breed, right, yeah, exactly. Marc saying in chat, he already knows, like with that Rampage move, Alex will be able to triple charge a Legion of Zombies every single turn with those Impalers and still have the whole rest of his army to do with whatever he wants. I think Alex is going to take this, So I'll stop the sweep on that one and go with him.
All right. Always nice to have someone familiar with the armies. Could point out things like that. Cool. All right. So that is 3 for Undead, but 1 very well-reasoned vote for the Wrecked Slaves. And we will move on to table number 8. And that's going to bring us Dale Motley versus Ryan Hoffman. So this is our other dwarf list versus our other Empire of Dust list. This dwarf list I really like. I like the formation. I think it's good. I like the grindy, fighty dwarves. He's got 3 Brockrider regiments and a couple of Mastiff Hunting Pack regiments and a Dwarf Lords on a Large Beast, which is such a great utility piece, and a Berserker Lord mounted with the Blade of the Beast Slayer, just the way he comes out of the box. I think this is a really solid dwarf list. And even though it's Invade, I feel like he's got a good amount of speed that can help as well. But then on the other side, this is also kind of more like the Empire of Dust style list that I really like to see. He's got a couple of Mummy regiments. He's got a couple of Revcav regiments. He's got some Scavengers to get out and get in the way. He's got Chariots. I'm still not sold on these Worm Riders. But then he's got, all the hits, the Monolith, the Soul Snare, Shobik. This is going to be a really fun game. It's going to be a really fun game to watch. It's going to be super, super grindy, super fighty. I would definitely swing by and see what was going on this table every once in a while, because I think this is going to be an interesting matchup. What do you think, Steve?
Yeah, I agree with you both on that with Dale's list. I really like it. I would the dwarf formations up there probably. I mean, it's expensive, but it's really, really good. So yeah, I think the one thing that Dale, Rock Riders, they're just, they're still so fragile. You have 3 regiments of them, but they're super fragile. But again, the Empire Dust really doesn't have the thing that's going to be able to, the things that really can tag the Rock Riders, really take them off and exploit the fragility. So I'm going to go with Dale. And I'm calling Nerdhammer. What's wrong with me? So yeah, Dale.
Dale. All right, what do you think, Kat?
I'm just looking at both of the lists. There's going to be a lot of awkward stare downs. But I feel like Ryan might have the edge, if only because he has more throwaway pieces to kind of screen for the advance, and he has a little bit more terrain mitigation. I feel like I think he might be all right here if he can take the charge from the faster Brock Riders and kind of weather the storm. I think they'll get caught up in the Empire of Dust chunkiness and not be able to score points. I think I'll give it to Ryan.
All right.
Yeah, in this case, Ryan's his use of scavengers regiments are going to dictate the match on this one. You know, like the dwarfs are already slow; they're already disadvantaged. Into this is probably like the worst scenario for dwarfs, or one of. You know, like they really struggle to just run across like that. And I think in the areas of the board where they're going to have like equivalent speeds, because I think the Brock Riders are also 8, correct? So it's a speed 8 stare down. But with Ryan's ability to put the scavengers as a stopback or stopgap, Dale doesn't really have that. So I think I'm going to go with Ryan on this one just because of like his chaff selection, and I think his maneuverability is a little bit higher than what Dale's is.
Okay. So you're also going with Ryan. I don't know. I mean, Chariot Legion, couple of Rev Cav regiments, and some scavengers. But are they gonna? This is such a. These are two very, very grindy armies. Like they can both take a punch, and they kind of want you to come hit them first.
Yeah.
So when Kat said awkward stare downs, like I think that probably like fairly well sums it up. Gonna be a whole lot of no. You come over here.
You go to me.
I do really like Dale list. The one kind of thing that I'm noticing now is just I'd love to see some like sharpshooters or something to put pressure. Like, yeah, you have to come to me because he doesn't really have the long range shooting in the form of like sharpshooters or cannons or something like that. Because the Empire doesn't be like, all right, cool, we'll sit here and look at each other all day and not really caring about getting shot at.
Right.
I think who gets the second play or going second role is going to be huge in this matchup too.
I think, I'm going to go dwarves. I'm just going to go dwarves. Why not? We'll make it 2-2. Like Steve, I have no idea why I'm voting for Nerdhammer, but apparently I am. So here we are.
I voted for every Nerdhammer so far. It's just...
Oh my God, have I done that too? I voted for Matt. I voted for Boehner. What the hell? What are we doing?
Whoever's now voting against them just out of principle. So
we're voting for.
We're
voting for the people that we know have been to more than 2 GTs before. Then that's it. That's all we're doing. All right. So moving on to table 9, we have Michael Gill versus Eric Schaefer. One more opportunity for us to vote for Nerdhammer right here. Here it comes. So this is going to be a Northern Alliance versus another Empire of Dust matchup. Coming in at both 13 drops, 24 unit strength on the Northern Alliance side and 22 on the Empire of Dust. The Northern Alliance list is again kind of this sort of let's just take a little bit of everything and see how it goes kind of list. He's got some human clansmen. He's got some dwarf clansmen. He's got a couple regiments of Huskarls, which are just super solid. And he's got some Snow Fox regiments to get out there and get in the way. He's got 1 Ice Elemental Horde, a Frostfang Cavalry Horde, a Lord on Frostfang, an Ice Queen, an Ice Blade. Again, kind of one of everything. It's a little hard to tell how it's all going to fit together. But because I don't know this guy, so I don't know whether this is like a deliberately chosen toolbox list or a painted one of everything kind of list.
I got the mega army and the 2-player starters, and this is what came in it.
This is what came in. Okay, and then Eric's Empire Dust list. I think it's pretty similar to the one he's been playing for a while. He's got the triple mummy regiments, which are just so hard to move. He's got some scavengers, a soul snare. He's got Pappy, and he's got Shobik. And then he's got some skeletons thrown in for some unit strength, and a chariot, Pharaoh on a chariot to kind of intercept some things. Yeah, fine. I'll start it off. I'm making it a sweep. I'm just voting for all the Nerdhammer guys, so I'm going to go with Eric. I like the Empire Dust list. What am I thinking? What is my life? Anyway, Steve. No, wait, I did Steve last time. Let's start at the bottom. Mike, what do you think?
So this one, I played against Eric's list, and that list is a goddamn nightmare. The triple mummy regiment, he knows how to pilot it very, very well. It's got a tremendous amount, like a deceptive amount of, like kind of healing and regen in the list, with the soul snare there and everything else. It's a really, really strong list. And I think I got to go with Eric on this one. It's well balanced. Like he's got his chaff units, like the skeleton warriors and spearmen, you know, they bring unit strength instead of speed. You know, it's as Mark saying in chat, Eric may very well beat Mike to death. This is going to be a really tough matchup for Mike, so I got to go with Eric.
All right, Kat.
I'm looking at both of the lists, and I'm like, well, like Mike can like shoot the ice move. He can use the ice elementals and the ice dip arrows and make his speed 5 list really slow, and maybe he'll get him. But it's just so much. Like by the time the grind is over, there's probably still going to be a whole unit of mummies left to deal with, and I just don't think that what's left after the dust clears is going to be enough. I think Eric's going to take it.
All right.
It's such a shame, though. Oh.
What do you think, Steve?
Yeah, this is a little bit different to when Eric's been playing. He and I played at Pilgrimage back in March. And yeah, look, it's very similar, but a little bit different. I said I would just vote against Eric just out of principle, but that being said, I don't know that Mike has the oomph. I mean, beyond I think the Frostbite Cav with Brewer Sharpness can pretty reliably one-shot a Mummy Regiment. But other than that, I just don't see the stuff. And if you don't kill what you just the first time, it's gonna all of it's gonna come off, and you're just gonna be really, really sad. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Eric, even though I said I wouldn't, but I'm still going to.
But here we are.
Here we are.
Somehow voting for Nerdhammer over and over
again.
Yeah. It's all in good fun, folks. We love them, really.
Yeah, they're great guys.
All right. So this is going to bring us to table 10. This is next to last table here. This is going to be a League of Rordia matchup versus a Forces of Nature matchup. So you know what's coming. 13 drops each, 24 unit strength each. Mirror match there. So I kind of like this League of Rordia list. The double Dogs of War hordes with the special upgrades, one with the Brew of Sharpness is super, super killy. It's got 3 Knight regiments, an Honor Guard horde, the Duke on Winged Airles, a couple of Mounted Barons, a couple of Flying Wizards, the Battle Shrine, so like good amount of Lightning Bolt coming off over there. And then over on the Forces of Nature side, we've got we have the Nature's Wrath Air Elemental formation with an extra greater Air Elemental thrown in. A Druid and 2 Glade Walker Druids to have plenty of magic support. Woodland Critters that are just going to chaff for all their worth. I love those guys to death. Just love the Woodland Critters. I'm going to do an all Woodland Critter army someday. Just like go total Disney with it. It's going to be beautiful. Anyway, 2 Salamander Prime hordes for some unit strength. And Hunters of the Wild and some Scorch Wings. So, yeah. I don't know. This is kind of an interesting matchup. Steve, what do you think?
I'm not used to seeing League of Rordia lists with less than 4 hordes of Honor Guard. but Ed's also in my club, and that's just how League of Rordia comes.
Yes.
He also doesn't have any organ guns or anything.
No, Ed goes straight cannons. This is tough. The Salamander Prime hordes are just so tough to punch through.
So beefy.
They are very beefy. I'm gonna give it to Jordan. I really like the Nature's Wrath formation. I think it's probably the best formation right now. Scorch Rings are insanely good. Two greater elementals. Yeah, I think in this scenario, I'm going to give it to Jordan.
All right, Kat, what do you think?
So I love the Dogs of War. I love this Rordia list a lot, actually. There's a ton of Lightning Bolt, like 3. There's 12 Lightning Bolt and then 6 Fireball, and then 2 little Barons running around bonking stuff, and a Duke. If Julian's able to kind of take a couple turns shooting at the things that don't regen, and spreading them around a bit so the one heal is less effective. I don't know. It's so chunky though. Yeah. I want to shake it up. I feel like Julian can take this. Jordan plays a little on the slower side. And this is going to be Julian's going to want to stagger and kind of keep his distance until the very end as much as possible. So I think it's going to be interesting. So yeah, Julian.
Yeah, Jeremy, I agree with you. I feel like the League of Warrior list is a pretty interesting. Like, I think he's got the tools to do it. I just don't know if Julian is a good enough player to know how to use the tools against the combination of the air elementals and the prime hordes. I don't know, Mike. What do you think?
Yeah, so this is an interesting matchup, and again, like knowing the players, I think will help predict this one. Jordan's list is very advantaged, and I think Julian is a strong player, but he dabbles in too many different games. So I think the geometry of the surging air elementals is going to give him problems. That said, I think that's going to give him problems until turn 5 when Jordan clocks out. And then once the army stops moving, I think I got to go with Julian for the win on turn 6.
All right. Yeah, that's such a tough. I think I played Jordan at Pilgrimage, but he was not playing this list. He was playing a different list, I think. I want to say maybe he was playing a bunch of Forest Shamblers, maybe. I don't know. I'm gonna go just to make it 2-2. I'm gonna go with Jordan.
I mean, Jordan's very good, and he's good at piloting this specific list, and it's a good list. But I think Julian might get him.
Yeah, no, this one. I think it'll be really close. Like I said, I think Julian's got the tools. He could do it if he knows how to use it. Because a couple of mounted barons can bop some elementals and put them on the ground. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's got the tools. If he plays it well, he can beat him. But if Jordan gets the angles and gets some surge charges on him and takes up those Dogs of War hordes, then that'll be it. Yeah, okay, fine. 2-2. Another match to watch. Should be an interesting one. And now coming up on what I think is the last table. Yep, this will be the last table. So this is going to be Joe Ferry versus Mike Ambleth. This is a Trident Realm versus Forces of the Abyss matchup. Trident Realm army coming in at 17 drops and a whopping 30 unit strength against 13 drops over on the Forces of the Abyss side and 22 unit strength. Trident Realm army is very Thule heavy. It's got that great Thule Hidden Ones formation, which is really good.
That's really good formation too.
Yeah. Yeah, I like the Trident Realm list. And then over on the Force of the Abyss side, he's got some Flame Bearers. He's got Lower Abyssal Horde with two-handed weapon upgrade, drops their defense and adds Crush 1. He's got a Moloch Horde, a Cronius, a couple of Warlocks, the Well of Souls, which is a great force multiplier for them, Manifestation of Baal, and Zazuzu. So typically with a Trident Realm list, like a Thule heavy list, the best thing to do is stand back and shoot those things to death. A couple of Flame Bearer regiments is not bad. A couple of Warlocks is not bad, but I'm not sure that the Abyssals have.
The Abyssals also have Lightning Bolt. 15.
How much does Baal have? Is it 15?
7, and
the Warlocks
go up to 8.
I didn't know Zazu also had Lightning Bolt.
Yeah, he has Lightning Bolt 4, and he can go up to 8. So he's Lightning Bolt 15 in addition to 30 shots.
30 shots from the Flame Bearers. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've spent a lot of time playing Abyssals and
playing shooty Abyssals. Yeah.
I could kit it out with something like this, so it could. I was about to say the rest of the accoutrement around the shooting block for Force of the Abyss, I'm not wild about. I don't think despite the increases to the Will of Souls, I actually don't think the Will of Souls is all that great. I'd love to see it to be a second Carnius. But yeah, I like both lists. But I'm actually going to go with the Trident Realms just because there's so much saturation, and the Centurion with the Trident is actually really good because it does, and I think if it does damage, it also disorders. So you could tell Baal to sit down, or he can tag one of the Warlock. So it's just there's a lot of stuff that can, again, having a very shooting heavy army, you can just tag it. Kairosh is speed 7 and scouts, so Kairosh can go punch something turn 1. So yeah, I actually really like the Trident Round list.
Okay. Kat, what do you think?
I know both of these players very well. They're both excellent players, but I think I have to give it to Joe here. He has an insane amount. I've fought this list multiple times, beat my head into the wall. It's so deceptively accurate. Just about everything hits on 3s, which is so good. It manipulates the terrain really well. It camps in it for the ensnare and then stacks the stealthy with terrain. And it's just so difficult to remove. And it's remarkably hitty for what it is. I don't know. And how the Centurion ends up playing, she could really ruin his whole day. Like, Mike's going to have a hard time here. I think it's going to go to Joe.
Okay, Mike, what do you think?
It hurts to say, but I think Joe has a really strong list here. You're stacking stealthy and ensnare, like Kat mentioned, and there's not like any counterplay to that. You just have to throw dice into it. Combined with the scenario, I think is also going to play a big factor. The Trident Realms loadout that Joe has taken is like, on the high end of the power curve. You've got, he's out dropping him, he's out unit strengthening him by a lot, combined with all these baseline rules. Joe is just going to run screaming across the table. It hurts to say. I think Joe's going to win. It's weird. That doesn't happen that often. But he's put together. Joe has been, in all seriousness, fine tuning this list for a while. And he's put a lot of time and effort into it, and I think it's paying off. He knows, he knows what he's doing with it, and I think he's going to win.
I think I played Joe at Pilgrimage. I think, yeah. And I think he was playing this kind of full heavy Trident Realm list. So yeah, he's been playing it for a while. Yeah, I hate to make it a clean sweep, but I think I might go with Joe as well. I think if the Abyssals can get their shots in and pick off Thule regiments before they get to you, then you've got a pretty good chance. But you're going to have to sacrifice like your gargoyle troops and deploy well. And again, based on the terrain, like if Joe decides that he's going to set up on the side of the table with cover, he's got more unit strength than you. He can just walk across. Then you can't set up in the open. You have to set up across from him. So yeah. Yeah, I think I gotta go with Joe, even though that makes it a clean sweep. I think I'm.
It's a hell of a list. I'm sorry, Mike. You gotta pew them down somehow.
I mean, I had to play it first round at Pilgrimage, and it was a rough game. I think I only managed to draw. So best of luck. Yes, Jeremy, I agree. It is very cool that this is in my region, and I barely recognize half of the names. Like, it's fantastic.
We were talking
it's the
about
Dojo Boys.
It's the Dojo Boys. Not to be confused. Fair. Yeah. Not to be confused with the Dojo of Texas.
Oh, right. Oh.
So we'll see. So I think that is going to bring us to the end. That is the last table. So that's going to bring us to the last matchup. So now let's talk a little bit about like what we just saw. talk about who we think's got a really strong chance. So I'm going to ask you guys a few questions. I'm going to ask favorite list. I'm going to ask who you think is going to end up best general, not necessarily best overall, but best general. And I'm going to ask who you think might be a dark horse, and that's someone who will like podium or finish top 5 that people might not expect, like a list that might come out of nowhere. So first, I'll just start with favorite list. Like of the list you've seen, which one do you personally like think is the most fun? Appeals to you specifically of these? If you looked over and you're like, I would like to play that or play against that. Like this is the one that jumps out to me as just an overall fun list. Steve, what do you think?
So my favorite list is actually the Trident Realm one. I've been thinking about the Trident Realm's always been my next army. The way that I've put it together in my head is very similar to the way I play Abyss. So it's like, well, why don't spending the money, the time to put together an army that's very similar to what I play already just never really made sense. Instead of it being half naked ladies running across the board, it's going to be weird squid men running across the board. But I really like it. That's kind of the type of list. Why not Zordberg? That I like. So if we're going favorite list, it is that Trident Realms list.
All right.
Like considering Trident Realms took top 2 at Vanguard, Trident Realms are obviously overpowered. So I gotta get on my bandwagon while it's still hot.
Rules committee, please nerf ray shields. Kat.
My favorite list has to be Derek Sandstrom's list. His herd list is pretty fantastic. It's you can't argue with that. It's all a bunch of sticks painted brown with googly eyes, and then the Wolffather's holding a larger stick. It's very compelling, but tactically though, there's something to be said for a list that is just in your face like that right off the bat. It really sets a clock and some pressure on the opponent, especially if you've never fought a list that does that before, which a lot of these guys are new. But it's my favorite. It's so cute aesthetically, and also it's solid.
Cool. Mike, what do you think?
So, listen, there's one Ratkin player, so I got to pick it. Even though it's Ratkin Slaves. Alex, I'm going to find you later and have a polite conversation about this list. I'll add you on Facebook or something. This is a really cool list. I look at Ratkin Slaves all the time. I think Kat can attest to this. I drive her and everyone else that will listen completely insane. I have some issues with his meat choices. The 8 warrior regiments is something that I would change, but and the fact that he's playing against Marc Howard's also, like, these are 2 lists that just push trash forward but have these hammers that run around and do different things. It's a deceptively interesting list both to pilot and to play against. And I really hope Alex does well this event. So that's definitely my favorite list out of the bunch.
All right. And I think for my favorite list, I got to go with Marc. I got to go with Marc's Undead because 6 Legions of Zombies, because I play Undead and I like zombies. And I just always think it's hilarious to see just a massive block of just undead dudes wandering across the table, especially in this first round matchup where they're literally just staggering towards rats that are going to explode. I'm just picturing like rat and zombie bits just flying up all over the table everywhere for the whole. It's fantastic. All right, so now let's pop around and think about best general of the list we've seen here, and we've seen the whole field. Who do we think has the best chance of actually pulling the highest battle score here? And I will start. I'll start with Mike and work my way around that way this time.
Oh, we're starting with me. So if I remember correctly, this event is being held at a casino. Is that correct? Or like a casino hotel?
It's in Atlantic City, so you're within walking distance of the casino.
Right, which means that outside alcohol isn't going to be allowed. So I think if there's going to be an event that Marc Howard can take down, this is going to be it. So I'm going to give Marc Howard my Dark Horse Award to podium unexpectedly based on that one.
Okay. And you have a best general pick.
Oh, no, I think he's going to take it. No, that is my pick.
Oh, both.
Yeah. I think Marc Howard has a chance to take this one down.
All right. Put him down for both then. Best general and dark horse. Kat, do you have a best general pick?
My best general pick has got to go to Alex Chavez. I had it split between Alex and Marc, and I've been staring at both their lists, and I just that Night Stalkers list is so brutal to fight against, and I think he could probably take this event with it.
All right, Steve.
Best general is going to be Allen. His list is really, really good. The formation's really good. I think forces in nature are at least something on the mid-Atlantic East Coast that people don't play, and I don't get it. So yeah, I think Boehner's going to be my pick. Pick to click.
So now it comes down to me.
Again. What the hell?
Yeah, I know, and so here's the. I was fucking gonna pick Boehner too because I think that's a really solid list, and I love Alex, and you never want to vote against Alex. And also Griff is really good. So unless the same thing happens here that happened at Pilgrimage, where Boehner and Griff have to play each other in turn 4 and knock each other out. In which case Alex will win, or maybe Marcelo, one of those two. Yeah. I feel like this is Boehner's weekend, man. I feel like he's got it. My apologies, Alex. You'll do fine, but I think Beans might have it this time. All right, so now dark horse. So somebody that you think might surprise people and not necessarily win, but like podium, like finish top 3 battle. Maybe with a list that like is a little off meta that you think is going to catch people by surprise, or somebody that like has gotten in a lot of practice lately and you think has improved a lot recently. Anybody like that?
I think Joe Ferry fits that criteria perfectly.
Joe Ferry, yeah.
Okay.
I'm very impressed with his growth, and this list is very scary. I think he's going to place very well.
Cool.
But my love goes to all the Dojo boys. I think you guys are all going to do great. I'm so happy you guys are fighting. I wish I could be there.
Steve, do you have a dark horse pick?
Dark horse was the I'm sorry, I can't remember the guy's name is, but the Night Stalker list with the Scarecrow trash and the Bloodworm Legion with Hammer Measured Force. I think that was
Kevin Strong's. It's very good.
Strong. Well, and he has a fucking great name. I mean, Kevin Strong. That's like it's a pro wrestling name right there. So yeah, I really like. I think the list has legs. So yeah, I like that list.
All right. I think I'm gonna go with. I mean, Griff is strong, but he's not a dark horse. He won Nerdhammer. And Marcelo is strong, but again, not a dark horse. Kevin's not bad. Joe, it's a really good pick. Yeah, Joe Ferry is a really, really strong pick. I'm having trouble picking anybody else here. I think I'm going to go with Jordan. I'm going to go with Jordan Bolin, actually.
Good pick.
The Salamander Primes and the Air Elementals, I think, are going to make a really good, solid combo. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to go with that. All right. I think that is going to pretty much wrap it up, unless anybody has anything else they want to add, any shout-outs, any upcoming events or anything anybody wants to mention.
I'm stoked for Mountaineer. That's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
Mountaineer coming up at the end of the month. If you haven't signed up.
See all 3 of you find people there.
Absolutely, yeah.
The gang will all be there.
And hopefully everybody tuning in that's attending at ACO can consider going there too, because even though it's back-to-back, it's going to be super fun.
It is. It's a great time. Because, I mean, after Mountaineer, we're not going to have another Mid-Atlantic tournament until the fall because Keystone's not happening and Masters is in July. So there aren't going to be any local GTs in July or August. It's going to be Crossroads.
Yeah, Crossroads. is September, and then November, first week of November, I think is Nerdhammer.
Is Nerdhammer, yeah. And so that's what the rest of the Mid-Atlantic GT calendar looks like until next year, where we come out swinging with Pilgrimage and Vanguard in the early spring. So all right, so that's going to wrap us up here. Everybody keep checking out our Mid-Atlantic group on Facebook if anybody's planning on running any other events. I know there's some one-day events planned coming up over the course of the summer. That should be good. Barbecue Brawl in August.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is.
Mark's house barbecue brawl.
I think that's just Mark
Cool.
Howard's house with like drinking a barbecue.
And play some games.
A one
Sounds
day,
wonderful.
Yeah, sounds good.
technically.
I think
Sounds
there's-
great.
I think Chet is doing a one day in July.
In July, up in Scranton or somewhere.
Yeah, Grand area. And I'm gonna try to put one together. I have to talk to Jake and Ed and the rest of our club. Probably gonna shoot for early August, kind of like the same weekend that we would have had.
Would have had Keystone.
Yeah,
That
so
makes sense.
it'll be again at Grill Lit game, which you've all been to, right up at 95. But I'll post stuff once we get closer to it.
In what's the name of the town? Abingdon, Maryland.
Abingdon, Maryland. Yeah, it's right up at 95. And
Yep. Nice central. I'm also crossing my fingers that the guys in the Carolinas will put something together at some point this year, either a one day or something else, because they have a few more people popping around down there now.
Yeah.
So that'd be great. Anyway, so let's go ahead and wrap it up. I'd like to thank Steve and Mike and Kat for hanging out with me and talking through all the lists here. Good luck to everybody competing at the Atlantic City Open this weekend. I hope you all have a great time. And for those of you that are kind of new to this, like welcome to Kings of War. Welcome to Kings of War tournaments. You're going to love it. And we'll see you down the road, hopefully at Mountaineer. Once again, this has all just been in good fun. Don't take anything we sit here too seriously. We're all friends here, and it's all in good fun. So, what's that? You heard a bad rumor. I'm not coming to Seattle. I am not going to be making it to Seattle. My apologies, but I am not going to Masters this year for a few reasons. One being I don't like how the COVID numbers look, and two, I couldn't figure out how to fly with my current army, and I don't have another one. And I also just want to give some other folks some opportunities to go, because I didn't technically qualify. So I figured if we're already down into picking alternates, I should just let somebody else who wants to go check it out. Next year, 100%. Crossing my fingers. Next year it'll be in or around DC, and I'll be running it, so I'll definitely be there. So you'll forgive me. You'll find it in your heart to forgive me somehow, Jeremy. I know you will. So until next time, I'm your host, Mike Atkins, saying you stay safe out there, and we will see you next time on Dash 28 Live. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Hey.